It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Well, welcome back to Inside the Patch. It's kind of our Super Bowl wrap-up, kind of, how are we feeling? What was your take? The Las Vegas Raiders did not win the Super Bowl this year, but the San Francisco 49ers have managed to lose the Super Bowl at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, putting joy in a lot of the Raider fans' hearts.
Yeah,
Brian,
good news and bad news for you, Gnarly, where that's definitely the good news. The Niners lost, and of course, used to be rivals in the same city, right? Going back to the Bay Area days. Bad news is the Chiefs won.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, that's the bad news.
Yeah, the Chiefs won at our stadium. Things that stood out to me. Kelsey, not so nice to an older coach.
Yeah, got a little fired up, a little bit too much. But I love the way Andy Reid handled it. And he was just basically gave it a shoulder shrug. Like, he was fired up. I don't have anything against him for that. And listen, I think that a lot of the commentary is about what Kelsey should have done or shouldn't have done, or what Andy Reid should have done, or what example it sets for younger kids and all this type of stuff. But I thought Andy Reid did a really good job where he could have pulled rank and undressed Kelsey and made it a much bigger deal, but he just downplayed it and kept the focus on winning the game. I just thought that was the right response by Andy Reid.
Well, it made me think, first off, young Andy Reid, and I'm talking anywhere from 14 to 37, he's not getting in his face. You remember he was 14-year-old? He was a 6'5" giant at 14.
That's right. What, the punt, pass, and kick?
Yeah.
Probably
with
bigger than Kelsey at that time.
Exactly. Well, and I'm thinking, this is something that will never happen to Antonio Pierce. I don't see anybody getting in his face. I mean, and for the next 8 years, I just don't see. Excuse me? Excuse me? What? I can see.
It's interesting, right? You could say, which coaches would players not do that to?
Right.
And which coaches would not have done what Andy Reid did? Which coaches would have just been like, I'm the head coach, you don't do that to me, and that sort of thing.
Right. Well, I always think back to that Yankee game where it's Don Zimmerman that gets thrown down. He was kind of a roly-poly, third base, first base coach, and a fight broke out, and he got rolled. And the way he fell, he just looked old. And I felt, oh my gosh, who's throwing old people around?
I know Pedro Martinez got a lot of brushback for that, but it's like, hey, look, if Don Zimmer charges me like a bull, what? If he gets thrown to the ground, that's on Zim. That's how I looked at it the whole time. A lot of people did not. They looked at it much differently. You got to just, give him a little bit of grace. No, dude, he started it. Pedro finished it. It's like, don't start it if you don't want it to turn into that.
I've had two situations. One was an 86-year-old man who looked like Kix Brooks, came after me, cussing. I was hosting an event, and he wanted to fight me. There's no upside to that at all. I can't fight him and win, and I don't want to lose to him either, so it just run. I just ran. And I had a little person once want to fight me.
Really?
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if it's the right time to tell the story, but I got punched by a girl at a Slipknot concert in Fresno, California.
Why? What happened there?
That's a true story. So at any metal show, everybody pushes everybody. Any general admission show, everybody's pushing toward the front of the stage. That's how every show is. And so there were 20 people pushing me forward, and in turn, I was pushing the guy in front of me forward. And at some point, this guy just got tired of it, and he turned around like I was doing something that was uncommon at a metal show. And
right,
so I
exactly.
just was holding him with one arm, just like, this is a metal show, man. This is sort of what happens. And at that time, I felt this little like tap. I felt this tap on my face. And I looked, and this girl was retracting her fist from my face. And I'm like, she just hit me.
You just got knocked by a girl.
I just got hit in the face by a girl. And your immediate primal reaction is get even, retaliate.
Right.
For a millisecond, I thought that I'm like, it's a girl. I'm not doing that. That's not. And so I was just stuck. I'm like, what do I do? What's the appropriate response? So I just stood there kind of like, I should have beaten the guy up is what I should have done. But I didn't have enough time to figure this out. The point is this. I think that as a guy, if a girl instigates something, you got to take the high road and say, no, thanks. We're not going down this road. Some people would look at an older gentleman like Don Zimmer the same way. I do not. If you charge me like a bull, not like Pedro gave him a 1-2 right to the face. Right. He just kind of olayed him and shoved him to the ground. I didn't think that was bad form myself.
Sorry. All right. Well, my feeling on that too is like it's case by case. You just and are there cameras?
Oh, well,
it's someone filming.
There are always cameras. Yeah. How did you handle it with, what was it, the 84-year-old guy?
I just walked away and said, I'm volunteering my time here. There was like 1,000 people there. And I, sir, excuse me. And he was just hot, just mad. And I come to find out he'd been going to this thing for 20 years. I was a new host, and most hosts don't talk like I do. I'm walking around doing like a show the whole time, talking to people, and he didn't like it. It just did not make him happy at all.
Wow.
I did have a situation. You and I both worked at a station at different times, and Oscar De La Hoya came in to promote a fight. Not only a fight, it was a show that he was promoting or something. And he came in the studio with me, and he had sunglasses on, and I jokingly said, yeah, some people wanted me to take you out in the parking lot and throw it around, and he did not take it as a joke.
Oh, no.
He looked at me with the meanest. I was scared. I was like fetal position, ready to pee my pants right there. I was like making a complete joke. Like there's zero street cred in kicking my ass. None.
That's hilarious, man. I just love that a joke failed miserably. Like, De La Hoya, they wanted me to take you out back and kick your ass a little bit, but I said no. No words. Just stared at me. Looked at me like I felt like it was a cartoon where a hungry wolf looks at a piece of meat and just wants to eat it. I was like, oh my gosh. So needless to say, he's lucky I didn't get upset. Yeah, right? Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's say he did punch me. Isn't he like a lethal weapon? Can he get sued for that? Or because I probably started it?
Yeah, you might have missed your opportunity. I think you should have just hit him with the next line and the next line. And then maybe you wouldn't even be doing this show right now. You'd be on a beach somewhere, yeah.
I'd be talking about Oscar De La Rente, All right, so the Raiders season is now, we are tied for first place with every team in the NFL. And so we're very excited about that. And we're getting past, we're getting past what happened. And now there's Antonio Pierce has hired his son, who played for him in Arizona and is a pretty good DB coach, or he's got some sort of position there, which is nothing wrong with that,
Putting the staff together,
Yeah, you got to put your staff together. Nothing wrong with that. And then we got to start collecting players. This is the part that's so hard for me because there's so many possibilities. There's so many untruths, and so many people are lying right now to get a better, nobody really wants to move, but you want to act like you want to move if you're a player.
Yeah, it's a tough part right now because it's the lying season. It's the rumor season for the next couple of months, with free agency and the draft. And it's hard as a fan not to get excited about certain possibilities. You're going to hear all these rumors of, hey, I heard the Raiders are going to trade up and they're going to get this hot new quarterback or they're going to get this guy in free agency or whatever. It's hard not to be like, oh, that would be amazing, right? Like, it goes against your fan DNA not to get excited. But
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm getting sick of those clickbait YouTube videos where one of them it said, I can't believe this is happening. And there's a picture of Darren Waller and the Raiders. And then the first minute and a half shows pictures of Darren Waller. And he's not even talking about Darren Waller. He's talking about tight ends or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it made it look like Darren Waller's coming back. At the end of it, towards the end, like 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, they're talking about re-signing some guy we already have. And it's not that big of a deal. And the voiceover guy, it's you could tell it's a fake one. Like someone typed in the stuff and some stuff's mispronounced. But I fall for every time. It's like, oh, there's Lucy teeing up the ball. Let me go kick it. Oh, no, it's not there. Not there. Oh, I do that so many times.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it's like, whatever rumor there is, I think you should just be like, hey, that'd be great, and leave it at that. As soon as you start banking on it or really believing it, it's like, just wait for it to become a reality first. I in terms of the draft and free agency, I think that's the better way to go about it.
Well, I screenshot it and I send it to you immediately. And I wait to hear you, ha, 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 ha. Or you don't respond at all. You're like, no, not happening.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait for some of the hot rumors, Well,
but how do things, you got your couple main guys that are kind of in charge of breaking stories, right? But they don't always get it right either.
No. Yeah, I look at it like this. If a team was really hot about a certain free agent or a certain draft pick, would they really be putting it out there?
Exactly.
No, they would not.
They don't want anybody to know. They don't want anybody to know about it.
We play cards. Yeah. If you're sitting there with pocket aces or pocket kings, you got cowboys over there. Do you say to the people around the table, like, hey, I'm working with pocket kings right here? No, you don't say anything. You don't give any information. You try not to give any tells whatsoever. So these fans that believe these rumors as if the Raiders are tipping their hand as to what they're going to do, it's like, bro, come on. They're not going to do that.
And the first thing you do if you have pocket aces or pocket kings is try to act like you don't have them.
Right.
And then you pray to God that someone is overplaying an ace.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. So if there's a rumor about, I don't know, a certain wide receiver or something, think, well, it's not going to be that receiver. It might be this other receiver that has not been mentioned, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, if I see any more pictures of Devontae Adams hanging out with Rodgers, I'm like, oh, man. But, he's got 2 Taco Bells in his house in Vegas. There's no state income tax. Why would you want to leave? Just the fact that he walks down his hall in the middle of the night and he might want a bean burrito. It's there. It's there for the taking.
By the way, speaking of Taco Bell, I need to get your thoughts on something because I went to Taco Bell one night years ago. I was living in Nashville. So it was in that area. And I went to go get Taco Bell. Normally get 3 crunchy tacos, get a regular Mountain Dew, get some nachos and cheese. That's my typical go-to. Unbeknownst to me, the regular Mountain Dew was not regular Mountain Dew at all. It was Baja Blast.
Oh.
And so I hate Baja Blast. I don't think it's good at all. But one, I want to know if you feel the same way. And two, I think because I was anticipating this is going to be a regular Mountain Dew, when I got something drastically different, I'm like, whoa, what is this? This is terrible. Where if I had tried Baja Blast another way, I might be a little more open-minded.
Yeah, I think you might have tricked your palate, for one. And two, I feel weird when I see those blue, because I think of Joe Namath slapping his face with Aqua Velva or something, or blue is just, I don't know. But regular Mountain Dew does look like antifreeze too. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much of a ham eater you are, but my secret ingredient in my ham is Mountain Dew or Dr.
Really?
Pepper.
Is that right?
So you get they're already cooked anyway. And then you put a little bit of pineapple juice, a little bit of brown sugar, and a whole Mountain Dew or a whole Dr. Pepper, and just let it simmer. It's
No
just
kidding.
it gives that glazy. You don't taste it at all. It doesn't taste like, oh, this is Mountain Dew ham. Not at all. But there's some
Hey, man,
sugar.
I'm completely willing to try it. I do love ham, and I love me some Mountain Dew. So I've never heard that recipe before, but I would love to try that.
There's also there is a whole Mountain Dew cookbook out there. You can make Mountain Dew ice cream without ice cream machine. You need that condensed milk, some Mountain Dew there. Just look at Mountain Dew ice cream, and you basically stir it, stick it in the freezer, and it works.
No kidding.
Oh, you are so all over this. I could see it. I think I've just changed your Thanksgiving forever.
My Thanksgiving isn't going to be complete without Mountain Dew ham from this point forward.
It's almost like green eggs and ham, I should drink some water here. Maybe some Mountain Dew real quick.
That'd be funny if Mountain Dew cured your cough. That's what needs to happen.
I'm telling you. It's funny. I was at Dodger Stadium one time, and I was taking these vitamins, and this vitamin just made my urine look like antifreeze, like Mountain Dew. And I just remember, they have these giant troughs, and so you could just see when it went past the guy in front of him, the head turned. It was like boom, 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 and they look at me like, "What is wrong with you? You a robot?"
Oh man, that's funny because the rule at the trough is stare straight ahead.
Straight down or up or down.
Yeah, until there's like some sea green colored urine, and it's like, whoa, what is that? What's going on here?
You are allowed to go to the right and follow the urine stream and see what is this fireworks show coming out of this guy.
I'll tell you two funny stories at the urinal. One is my own, one is of someone else. The first one is I went to a Colts game. They were hosting the Jets years ago. This is around like 2000, something like that. I go to the game and I go to the bathroom. And, we said the rule is just stare straight ahead. These were just urinals. Yep. This was not the trough. And it was like I could see a hat or something out of the corner of my eye, just like this elaborate hat. And I couldn't help. I just kind of like glanced over, and it was Fireman Ed. The guy that leads the chant for the JETS. I was going to the baños next to Fireman Ed, but I didn't say anything because I didn't have anything to say. I didn't even know his name at the time. I wasn't going to be like, hey, you're that guy with the chant and the thing. And
you could have spelled out, my name is B-R-I.
The other story was Ian Eagle, the play-by-play guy, does a great job. He does NFL games, college basketball, Brooklyn Nets, does an amazing job. We would have him on the local Portland show I did a few years ago. Because if the Nets were playing the Blazers, we would reach out and Ian Eagle would come on sometimes. He was amazing. And he told the story where he would go to the bathroom, maybe at halftime of the game he was doing. And more than a few times, he'd be at the urinal and the guy next to him would be like, "Hey, Ian Eagle, let's take a selfie real fast." And he was just like, "All right, cool. Yeah, let's do it." They're at the urinal and he's taking selfies.
Okay, I did. I guess my famous pee story. I peed next to Geraldo one time. He was at the radio. It was at the radio station too, and I don't even know why he was there. I don't know why he was there, but I was just about to interview Jason Aldean, who's pretty famous, right? And I walk in, I go, "Hey, Jason, you're not gonna believe this." He goes, "What?" "I just peed next to Geraldo." He goes, "Did you look?" I go, "Yeah, I looked. Same mustache." You know.
I have one more. This isn't my story, but remember Fabulous, the rapper, kind of like the R&B guy. I'm sure you know some of his songs, but he was at the Fresno radio station one time.
Nice.
It's probably for B95, like the hip hop station had to be. I doubt it was KRCR. Let's get Fabulous in here. But anyway, Fabulous went to the front desk girl, Charissa, who was awesome. And he goes, "Fabulous needs to know where the bathroom is." And she goes, "Well, you can tell Fabulous. It's the first door on the left." So that was always the running joke of Fabulous needs to know where the bathroom is.
I love this. You dissed it right back to him. Well, remember, Clinton came to town one time in Selma, talked to his school. And this guy was telling me, he goes, "I'm sitting at the urinal, and all of a sudden, the doors bust open for Secret Service and Bill. Boom. And Bill just lines up right next to him. And he goes, 'Well, now you got a story for your grandkids.'" I just not a bit Bill. But I mean, can you imagine you're peeing, and all of a sudden, there's the presidential pee right there.
One final one. Sorry, I didn't realize I had so many of them.
No, this is good.
It was Super Bowl 51, I believe, right? It was when the Patriots beat the Falcons.
Okay.
And I was just there in Houston during the week. I didn't go to the game, but I was there for the week for the Radio Row type stuff.
Yeah.
I just went to the bathroom. Carson Wentz was in there. And Carson Wentz, I was just like washing my hands or whatever. I was done. And Carson Wentz is at the urinal, and the guy next to him was like, "Oh, hey, Carson Wentz, South Dakota, huh?" And he was nice. He was like, "Oh, yeah. He just went along with it. And I was about to go, "North Dakota State." I didn't say anything because they won a bunch of titles, and they're the Bison, and they've got their whole thing. Like the state, there's a big difference between Michigan and Michigan State, you know?
Right. But you were nice and didn't correct them or anything. So
I didn't say anything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of our lives. I remember when the Vegas Allegiant Stadium, they had an ad in the paper for a bunch of people to show up at the stadium because they wanted to test the toilets in a game time situation. So they wanted to flush every toilet at the same time. Because if you've never done it, you don't know.
Right.
You got to have to test.
It's like Steve Ballmer, you know, the Clippers team owner, where they're building their new arena. It's going to open in the next year or two. I forget when, but he was so excited. You know how excitable he is. And he's like, "Toilet!" That's what he yelled. He's like, "Toilets!" They have state-of-the-art toilets and all this type of stuff.
Best ones ever.
Yeah. It was just so funny.
Those are things you don't think about because, you know, during a game, usually like between, you know, the quarters or whatever, there's times when everybody goes.
Yeah. Oh, if you can condense those lines, man, that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I went to Levi Stadium, it was for a concert, not a game. And they just messed up because all the food and beer lines, when they get large, it blocks the way you can't go through. I was like, you guys didn't think this out very well. It was like, it's just a cluster. It was horrible.
Oh, you know what? That happened to me. I was at a Tampa Bay game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Went to one of their games. It was not that long ago. It was still with Brady. It was against the Ravens. It was his last year. So this is like 2 years ago. And I went there with my girl. We went to go get some food or go to the bathroom at halftime, whatever we did. And we're going back to our seats where that pirate ship is.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
Couldn't get through. Could not get through. It was just a sea of people. And you're just trying to weave your way back to your seats. It was brutal, man. There was nowhere to walk.
And cannonballs flying, and it's just scary.
I know. Guys with swords and, a patch on their eye.
It's crazy.
Weird. Yeah.
Hello, Brian. I think I got to go because all this pee talk makes me need to go to the restroom. And so
you're going to go drink some Baja Blast and enjoy the pea green urine. Yeah.
That's right. And that's the way it's going to be. Brian, thank you for being on the show. And we'll talk soon. I'm going to have myself some Mountain Dew right now. Good idea.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.